I'm Ronnie. Welcome to the Asana Studios channel. I figured that since this is a new channel that I just started, it would be a good time to tell you a little bit about me. So if you're interested, keep on watching. I'll try to make it as short as possible. I was actually born in the Middle East. I was born in Iran. We're going way back here. So I was born in Iran and I moved to Canada with my family when I was super young. So I was still in elementary school when we moved here. We moved to Toronto and then we moved to Southern California. I lived in Southern California and then we actually decided to move to Calgary. Once we moved to Calgary, I had just graduated high school, and once I was out of high school, I wasn't really sure what I wanted to go to school for. So I knew I wanted to be a lawyer, but I didn't know what my undergrad would be in. I am not a lawyer, so that didn't go that way, but I didn't know what my undergrad would be in, so I was serving part-time while I was going to school. And while I was serving, this is just kind of how my yoga journey actually began. While I was serving, I worked with a girl named Jen. She was a sweetheart, and she always tried to talk me into going to try yoga classes. So I kept telling her no because I didn't really want to try it, to be honest. I didn't know much about it at the time. This is in like 2004 or something. So anyways, I didn't want to try yoga. I didn't want to go to the classes. It just wasn't something I was interested in a lot. So I just kept putting it off. And then finally I figured, you know what? I'll be a good friend. I will go to yoga and I will try it out. Why not, right? Just give it a try with her, make her happy, and then that would be that. So we decided to go to a studio down the street from where I worked, from where we both worked. It's so long ago, so I don't remember what we got. I do remember we like bought mats and we got all this fun stuff, and that was the fun in it for me too, that like getting new clothes, I think probably at Lululemon, and that was really fun. So I liked that part of it. So we went to a class. We decided to set up in the back corner. Of course, we had no idea what we were doing. We didn't know how close other people would get to us. So we just rolled out our mats. We were literally like in the back left corner of the class. I remember exactly where we were, and I remember the studio exactly. We knew the teacher was far away, so she couldn't really like pick on us or anything, which was great because again, we had no idea what we were doing. And I think that's kind of like the usual feeling people get about classes that are group fitness classes or yoga classes in particular. They're just kind of thinking everyone's going to watch us and everyone cares what we're doing. Not the case at all. Fast forward so many years and that's not the case at all. But anyways, so we set up and we figured, you know, the teacher wouldn't see us there. None of the other students would see us there. It's great. We'll just do what they kind of tell us to. So set up, started the class, and if any of you have just started a class with a friend, you've probably done this as well, but we literally started like laughing, not trying to disrespect the studio or the people around us, but anything that was said we couldn't do. So we would just kind of look at each other and laugh and see if we're doing it right, or see what was kind of happening around us. So try to have fun with it, but really confused. And I remember specifically in the class, the teacher would take us to down dog and downward facing dog, and she would say, this is a resting pose, and if you're new to yoga, this will become a resting pose. And back then I was like, no, like, let me get out of this. This is so uncomfortable. There is nothing resting about this. I'm so uncomfortable. Everything's hurting. And I'd take child's pose whenever I could. So very, very, I think typical for a first yoga experience that people normally have. We had our first class, and at the end of it, when we were in Shavasana, I think probably we started laughing again. People were really close to us, and it was quite a busy class. And So yeah, we got out of our first class and we were just kind of like, that was good. And I remember we went out and we bought necklaces. We bought little symbol necklaces. I'm sure I have it somewhere. Anyways, yeah, that was my first ever public yoga class. Actually, my first ever yoga class. So that was that experience. And I think Jen and I went back. Like, if we had the intro offer, I'm sure we went back. I can't remember how many times we went back together or anything like that. But fast forward quite a few years, I practiced yoga after that, but nothing regular. I didn't care to know what the different classes were. I would just go if a friend wanted to go, or just get use out of the mat that I'd bought, or whatever. It wasn't routine, nothing like that. And then fast forward a few years later, and I decided that I wanted to get in better shape. It was like, you know what, I want to give yoga another go, but I just don't feel like you can be in yoga classes and get in shape. That was literally my mind frame. Even though I'd gone, I was like, I don't feel like I sweat that much. I had never gone to a hot yoga class either, so it was just like regular studios I was going to. And it's like, I don't think I sweat that much. I would rather like work out and get in shape, because yoga can't get you in shape. That was my thought frame, instead of consistency will get you in shape. So then I decided regular yoga isn't my thing, whatever regular yoga meant to me at the time. And I said, you know what, I became a wrestling fan after I met my boyfriend at the time, who's now my husband. So I became a wrestling fan, and he had told me about Trish Stratus's yoga videos, or how she had a yoga studio, and so I was like, you know what? I like Trish Stratus. I'll probably like the way she teaches yoga. So I bought her DVD or DVDs. I think she had one at the time, or either way, I bought one. And I was like, this is like fitness yoga. This is different. And I loved doing it. I actually really loved her DVD, and I stuck to the plan that she laid out. So loved doing that. And it didn't feel so spiritual. At the time, I wasn't very spiritual. So it was actually odd to me when teachers would say, or instructors would say in classes, feel the earth, or feel closer to the earth, or whatever they would say, and feel this class is to get you grounded, and that stuff felt kind of weird to me. And that's just being honest. Obviously I don't feel that way now, but at the time it did. And Trish Stratus didn't really say much of that in her videos. They were very like, get into this pose, let's count down 10, 9, or 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So I decided to do that for a while, and I realized that I was becoming stronger, and I was becoming more flexible, and I was getting more into shape, and I loved it. So I kept going with it. And then I started to try even different types of yoga online. So, whatever Kino was offering. I loved Kino McGregor. She's one of my big influences in the yoga world. And so I started trying Ashtanga with her. And I was just doing a lot of different stuff online, going to the studio every now and then, but not as often. But I loved what I was doing, and it was really nice. And I tried to do it as often as I could, and not to use this as an excuse, but then life just got really busy. So I wasn't practicing as much as I originally was, but I just, my practice kind of fell off. And I actually started jogging and running quite a bit. So that became like, I had this runner's high every time I ran. So that became a huge part of my life. So my practice kind of lingered a bit. Was practicing and running. So that just kind of takes me to when I was in school and working, and practicing yoga every now and then, running a lot more regularly, and that was life at the time. And then fast forward a couple of years, or a few years, I actually got into a car accident. So in 2015, so actually 5 years ago now, I got into a car accident, and I had a head injury and a neck injury. And super unfortunate, and I couldn't run anymore, which was which took quite a bit of a toll on me. So after the accident, I would go to physio quite a bit, and they would needle me and give me stretches, and I went to quite a few different doctors, and I found that nothing helped a lot, or nothing helped long term, unfortunately. Sometimes when they would needle me, it would help a little bit, just releasing the tension in my shoulder area, which helped my neck, I feel. And then sometimes it was horrible, and any medications I was put on didn't help, and it was unfortunate, but I decided to get back on the mat. So I decided to get back on the mat, and I figured, at physio, they're giving me so many different stretches, so why not roll out the mat and stretch even more, because essentially we do so much of that in yoga, obviously. And I started to meditate a little more and practice a little more. I found that just getting on my mat, whether I could be a bit physical or not, helped me so much. So because of my injuries, because I wasn't able to move my arms the same way, or move my head the same way, or a lot would create pain, I decided to take it slow. I decided to always listen to my body, and I'm such a big believer in that you should always listen to your body. So I think that you should always challenge yourself, but always, always, always listen to your body, because it speaks to you so much. And no matter what classes you go to or what instructors you have, you know your body better than anyone, because you're with your body 24/7. And if you listen to it, you will keep learning more and more about your body. And I think that is so important, especially when it comes to pain and dealing with pain. So anyways, I found that getting on the mat, whatever it was that I was doing on the mat, like I said, whether it was a few stretches, whether it was just meditating, whatever it was, getting on the mat was my home. It was my safe space. It was what made me feel, like my old self. And I don't know if that makes sense to people, but if you've had an injury that's changed aspects of your life, you may be able to relate to that a little bit more. But either way, it just made me feel like my old self. And because I couldn't run, because running had such a bad effect on my head and my neck, this was what I could do to feel like my old self, which felt so nice. And even though I couldn't do the poses the same way as I could before, there were tons of poses that I could, and it was okay. And I'm still okay with that. So I've learned to be okay with that. So the mat became my safe space more than ever. And I decided a few years later, I couldn't really be working at my job at the time as well as I wanted to, or as well as I had in the past. So I decided to open up a yoga studio with my sister and my mom, and offer yoga classes and bar classes. And the biggest reason I wanted to open up the studio was because I figured that with yoga, just getting on the mat had helped me so much. And when I would talk to people about my injuries and get to know a little bit more about my friends, or people in groups, or whatever it was, I realized that so many people suffered from the same pain, whether it was head and neck pain or injuries in general. So many people suffered from a similar thing. So I figured this helps me so much. And as human beings, we can be so similar to each other in so many ways, that we can suffer the same and we can heal the same. And I thought, why not create a space where something that has helped me so much can also possibly help other people. So decided to open a physical location of Asana Studios here in Calgary, Alberta, and kind of gave it our all. And unfortunately, because of the economic downturn, the studio, we had to close it. We had to close the physical location. That was extremely unfortunate, mostly because the community that was there was so beautiful. The community that was built in the space was so beautiful. The people were so amazing. And it's unfortunate that we had to close, but I've said this I feel like ever since my accident that life happens, and my accident, life happened, and it's just literally how I wanted to react to it, or we want to react to something bad that happens or something good that happens in our lives. And so the studio closed, and my reaction to that is that it was a financial loss, and it was, you know, a loss of a beautiful space and things like that. But at the same time, it was a learning experience, and we got to meet so many great people through it. And you know, maybe the goal wasn't reached to help thousands and thousands and millions of people, but that's what I'm hoping to do, hopefully, on this channel. Why not bring that online and offer the same type of thing, even though we're not in the same physical space, to people watching this channel. On the channel, I hope to offer lots and lots of yoga classes, different asana breakdowns, so yoga pose breakdowns. I hope to offer that, and I hope to be able to offer anything else that you guys are looking for, that I can provide you with, that can help in any way possible. I hope that we can get to know each other on here and see what you guys are looking for, and just be able to get onto the mat together and, you know, leave everything on the mat. I like to say in my classes, leave it all on the mat. So whether it's weakness or, you know, tears or even laughter, bring it onto the mat. Leave what you don't want on here, spray it away, wash it away after the class, and get on the mat again. Let's get on the mat together. Let's have fun together. Let's laugh together. Maybe share tears, maybe share whatever it is, get stronger together, and you know, spend some time on the mat together. And again, even though it's a virtual space, let's get to know each other and enjoy each other's energy on the mat. Thank you so much for watching, for joining. If you have any comments, please feel free to leave them below, and subscribe so I can keep providing you with these videos. And feel free to share anything that I put on here. Thank you so much, and namaste.